What is a weird NSFW historical fact?
Antony van Leeuwenhoek, known as the father of microbiology, was the first to examine semen under a microscope immediately after ejaculating in his wife.
The Maya people had complex comics similar to our own today. There is comic of a rabbit stealing a man's clothes, and in translation his speech bubble says "smell your sweat, wizard penis." There's also a museum with a large collection of ceramics that are adorned with comically exaggerated reproductive features, my favorite being a cup with a built-in straw shaped like a dick. Sadly, they will probably never meet the public.
A common folk magic practice to bewitch a man in early modern Europe, c. 1400s to 1600s, involved a woman making bread or pastry dough, kneading it, and pressing it against her naked vulva before baking it and giving it to the target in question. It allegedly made the woman irresistible to the man.
A ton of ancient Roman graffiti still exists, and it's basically all dick jokes, crude humor, bragging about sex, etc.
Saint Bernard got his sainthood for having a dream about the Virgin Mary lactating into his mouth. Or in other words, Saint Bernard got his sainthood for a wet dream.
Roman brothels had pictures of the prostitute specialties above the door to their room.
French President Félix Faure died while getting a blowjob. Don't know if he finished though.
Up until the industrial era, it would have been surprisingly commonplace to find dead, unwanted, and abandoned babies just anywhere and everywhere. Powdered wigs became a fashion out of a need to cover up the patchy, inflamed baldness caused by syphilis. The ancient Egyptians had a yearly ceremony that involved men, mostly importantly the pharaoh himself, jerking off into the Nile, as they believed it to have been created by a god in the same manner. Some of the oldest discovered artifacts made by Homo sapiens are dildos carved from mammoth tusk ivory. A number of U.S. service members tasked with backing up anti-Taliban-aligned militants in Afghanistan were dishonorably discharged when they tried to bring attention to the blatant use of child sex slaves by these allied warlords. Mozart composed a song called Lick My Ass, translated. Unit 731. I'm not going to give details. Look it up at your own risk, it's way too beep up. The man who invented one of the first autopilot systems for aircraft made it to be able to have sex with a married woman while they flew. Edit, they ended up crashing into a pond when someone accidentally bumped the off switch during the act. Both survived, but had some awkward explanations to make. Anne Frank wrote about going through puberty in her diary, including passages about exploring her body and feelings of attraction to both male and female friends. Her father left these more private thoughts out of the published version of her diary. Someone, I can't remember if he was a NASA employee or a grad student or something, stole a bunch of moon rocks brought back during the Apollo program, laid them out on a bed and had sex with his girlfriend on top of them. Edit, debunked. Empress Wu Zetian of China would assert her authority over other nobles by forcing them to perform oral sex on her. Edit, spelling.
Napoleon, don't remember which one, would write his lady and tell her not to bathe in the days leading up to his arrival. In short, Mons was all about the stanky dank.
Many children were injured and harmed during the American Industrial Revolution. In some cases, children that attempted to flee factories were shackled to their workstations to prevent them from running off.
Josephine Bonaparte was well known for her axe in the sack. Apparently she had a master technique of doing something called zigzagging in bed. IDK what that is.
Hitler and JFK slept with the same Miss Denmark.
Napoleon's penis was cut off in 1821 during his autopsy, and it's still circulating around. The last known purchase was at an auction in 1977 by a urologist named John J. Latimer, and it's still sitting in their household to this day.
Cleopatra was the product of 4 consecutive generations of brother-sister marriages. The Ptolemies were adamant about keeping the royal bloodline pure, so they didn't allow it to fork. And you thought the Targaryens and Lannisters were bad.
JFK was a massive sex addict, and he said at one point he would get migraines without sex. I forgot where he said that, but I learned in a few years ago and I still find it funny.
Picasso's buddy wrote a poem about his wiener. What a friendship, writing poetry about your buddy's hog.
Elizabeth Bathory is believed to be the first female serial killer. Born in August 1560 Hungary, she is reported to have killed over 500 young girls and bathed in their blood. Though this is very likely to be highly exaggerated, what isn't disputed is that Bathory likely killed a lot of young people.
Dunno if this counts, but Isaac Newton died a virgin, so now every time you feel bad that you still didn't lose your virginity, just remember you're still on par with Isaac Newton LMAO.
Until 1977, Blue Cross and Blue Shield covered elective clitorectomies of children.
Big sexy sex orgies were so popular in ancient Greek times that they threatened the way of life in politics, so the big bois who made up the Greek gods just went, "Yo. We got a god of orgies now. Can you stop PLS now?" And it worked. A lot of ancient artwork on ancient Egyptian buildings is just straight up porn. Like historians believe a bunch of peeps would just go up to a certain wall and jack it off there. One to be debated, literature written by Vikings, actual Vikings not monks, all have at least 3 dick jokes or references in them.
For decades a centerfold of a Playboy magazine was the gold standard to test image compression algorithms on.
Andrew Jackson had a parrot that wouldn't stop swearing.
Joyce's love letters to Nora *, my sweet little whorish Nora, I did as you told me, you dirty little girl, and pulled myself off twice when I read your letter. I am delighted to see that you do like being beep arseways. Yes, now I can remember that night when I beeped you for so long backwards. It was the dirtiest beep I ever gave you, darling. My prick was stuck up in you for hours, beep in and out under your upturned rump. I felt your fat sweaty buttocks under my belly and saw your flushed face and mad eyes. At every beep I gave you your shameless tongue come bursting out through your lips, and if I gave you a bigger stronger beep than usual fat dirty farts came spluttering out of your backside. You had an ass full of farts that night, darling, and I beat them out of you, big fat fellows, long windy ones, quick little merry cracks and a lot of tiny little naughty farties ending in a long gush from your hole. It is wonderful to beep a farting woman when every beep drives one out of her. I think I would know Nora's fart anywhere. I think I could pick hers out in a room full of farting women. It is a rather girlish noise, not like the wet windy fart which I imagine fat wives have. It is sudden and dry and dirty like what a bold girl would let off in fun in a school dormitory at night. I hope Nora will let off no end of her farts in my face so that I may know their smell also. You say when I go back you will suck me off and you want me to lick your beep, you little depraved blackguard. I hope you will surprise me sometime when I am asleep dressed, steal over me with a whore's glow in your slumbrous eyes, gently undo button after button in the fly of my trousers and gently take out your lover's fat Mickey, lap it up in your moist mouth and suck away at it till it gets fatter and stiffer and comes off in your mouth. Sometime too I shall surprise you asleep, lift up your skirts and open your hot drawers gently, then lie down gently by you and begin to lick lazily round your bush. You will begin to stir uneasily, then I will lick the lips of my darling's beep, you will begin to groan and grunt and sigh and fart with lust in your sleep. Then I will lick up faster and faster like a ravenous dog until your beep is a mass of slime and your body wriggling wildly. Good night, my little farting Nora, my dirty little beep. There is one lovely word, darling, you have underlined to make me pull myself off better. Write me more about that and yourself, sweetly, dirtier, dirtier. Source with.
In medieval times, to torture the people that broke the law, they would rope them in place over a triangular spike and then tie some weights to them. In a course of about 5 hours their asshole would be stretched probably 3 inches and they would be in more pain than like pain.
In WW1 British spies would use semen as invisible ink for their letters.
There was religious group where you can have sex freely as long as you don't ejaculate. Edit. Thanks for the updates.
Walt Whitman and Oscar Wilde definitely beep.
May your day be filled with joy and happiness. And please remember to like, share, and subscribe for more quality content every day.